Deep in the land of Fizzlepop, where lollipop trees and fizzy lemonade rivers sparkled and the air always smelled like bubblegum, lived Zorp, a bright purple three-legged alien with one giant googly eye and a heart full of curiosity. Zorp loved to bounce everywhere he went, but he was a bit of a klutz, always tripping over his own feet and tumbling into giggles. Every new thing he tried, dancing, singing, baking, or even just walking in a straight line, ended in a wobbly, wriggly mess that made everyone around him laugh. One sunny morning, Zorp watched his best friend Pip, a fluffy yellow chickadee, skip gracefully by the river, her feathers glinting in the sunlight. Zorp wanted to skip too, but as soon as he tried, his three legs tangled up like spaghetti, and he toppled headfirst into the soft, squishy marshmallow grass. "Skipping is hard," he sighed, staring at his own 3 feet, wondering how Pip made it look so easy. Pip chirped from a lollipop tree, then fluttered down and landed gently on Zorp's head, ruffling his purple fuzz. "Don't worry, Zorp, nobody's good at everything right away. My first song sounded like a rusty gate and made the flowers cover their ears." Zorp giggled, feeling a bit better. Maybe there was hope for his tangled legs after all. He needed a plan, something clever and fun. "A plan!" Zorp declared, sitting up so fast Pip nearly tumbled off his head, flapping her wings in surprise. He looked around and saw the bouncing blobs, singing stones and all sorts of creatures practicing their own special moves. The whirligigs spun in circles, the blobs bounced up and down and the stones sang the same notes over and over, all repeating their moves. Suddenly, a lemon sherbet light bulb fizzed above Zorp's head, sparkling with a bright, zippy idea. "That's it, Pip, the secret is doing it lots. We need an adventure in repetition!" Zorp cheered, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Pip tilted her head, not sure what that meant, but it sounded exciting and maybe even a little bit magical. Zorp grinned, his wobbly legs already itching to try again. "Let's get started." The adventure was about to begin, and who knew what wonderful, wiggly things they'd discover together. "Repetition means we do something again and again until our legs know what to do," Zorp announced. Pip chirped, excited for the fun. "We won't just learn to skip," Zorp said. "We'll invent the silliest dance ever, the Giggle Wiggle dance." He demonstrated, "Move 1, the jelly jiggle, wibble wobble, move 2, the floppy flap, arms flapping everywhere, move 3, the silly spin and shout." Zorp spun, shouted "bananas," and toppled into giggling flowers. Pip laughed so hard he nearly fell off his branch. "Bananas, that's my favorite part." Zorp dusted off marshmallow fluff. "Ready for our repetition adventure, Pip?" "Ready," chirped Pip. "Let's practice and practice until we're perfect-ish," Zorp declared. They started the dance, not knowing just how silly things would get. Their first try was a giggly, wobbly disaster. Zorp jiggled, Pip tumbled off his branch, and they landed in a heap as the flowers roared with laughter. "Let's try move 2!" Zorp flapped his arms, Pip flapped his wings, and a gust of wind sent Zorp's hat flying onto a grumpy gnome's head. "My hat!" Zorp cried, but there was no time to worry. "Move 3!" Zorp spun left, Pip spun right, and they bumped into each other, shouting "bananas!" as they tumbled down. They lay tangled, laughing at their mess. "Well," Zorp said, "that did not go as planned." Pip chirped, a feather sticking up. "But it was fun! Can we do it again?" Zorp's eye lit up. "Again? That's the whole point! Let's be slightly less disastrous this time." They scrambled up, ready for another round. Practice was already making things more fun. The adventure continued. With new determination sparkling in their eyes, Zorp and Pip decided to give it another go. They took a deep breath, ready to face the challenge with even more energy than before. "Ready for the jelly jiggle?" Zorp asked, bouncing with excitement. Pip, remembering the last mishap, stood a safe distance away, feathers slightly ruffled but eyes twinkling with anticipation. Zorp jiggled, right into the fizzy lemonade river. Splash! Bubbles tickled his nose and made him giggle uncontrollably, sending ripples across the sparkling surface. "I'm delicious," Zorp giggled, lemonade dripping from his face and making his antennae stick together in a funny way. Undeterred, he climbed out, sticky and sweet, determined not to let a little mess stop him from having fun. "On to the floppy flap," Zorp announced, shaking off droplets. His arms made a funny schloop sound, and Pip laughed so hard he flapped into a lollipop branch, raining sprinkles onto Zorp, and making the scene even sillier. Now Zorp was a sparkly, sticky alien, covered in a rainbow of sprinkles and glittering with every move. "This dance gets more decorated every time," he laughed, shaking sprinkles from his ears and tail. "Grand finale, the silly spin and shout!" Zorp spun carefully, then shouted, "Pineapples!" Just as the grumpy gnome walked by, making the gnome's hat fly off and land in a nearby candy bush. The second try was another mess, but a sparkly, controlled mess that made everyone giggle even more. Zorp and Pip laughed, learning from every silly mistake and growing more confident with each attempt. "Let's keep going!" Zorp cheered, his voice full of excitement and hope for the next round. Each try brought new surprises, from unexpected splashes to silly sound effects and even more laughter. The dance was getting better, and funnier, with every wobbly step and giggle. Practice was working, even if it was sticky, sparkly, and full of surprises. Pip and Zorp were determined to master the moves no matter how many times they stumbled or slipped. They wiped off sprinkles, shook off the lemonade, and got ready for round 3, smiles wide and spirits high. The adventure was far from over, and with every silly stumble, Zorp and Pip were having the time of their lives. "Third time's the charm," Zorp said, still a bit sticky but more determined than ever. He wiped a glob of jelly from his antenna and grinned at Pip, who fluttered nearby, eyes wide with anticipation. They started with the jelly jiggle. This time, no falling, just perfect wibble-wobble. Their feet moved in sync and even the floor seemed to bounce along with their rhythm. Zorp's eye beamed with pride. "Repetition works!" he cheered, feeling a new confidence bubbling up inside him. Next, the floppy flap. Zorp flapped gently, then with more energy, launching a ladybug into the air, who giggled as she flew. The little bug looped around their heads, sprinkling laughter like confetti. Pip clapped his wings, they were doing so well. The excitement in the room was contagious and even the walls seemed to hum with joy. Now the silly spin and shout. Zorp spun 1, 2, 3 times, he shouted, "Bananas!" but stumbled into a candy floss bush, arms flailing and laughter echoing. Zorp emerged, pink fluff everywhere, but grinning. He looked like a walking, giggling cloud of sugar. "That was our best yet!" Pip chirped, hopping from foot to foot with delight. "We just need to work on the landing," Zorp said, brushing off fluff. He winked at Pip, who giggled even harder. "Let's do it again," he declared, and again and again. Each round brought new giggles and a little more skill. Each time they improved, less stumbling, more giggling. Their moves grew smoother, and their laughter grew louder. Zorp learned to check his footing, flap just right, and spin before shouting. He even started adding his own little twists to the routine. Pip learned to keep a safe distance and match Zorp's moves, flapping in perfect time and dodging the occasional flying fluff. Every mistake was a funny lesson, and every lesson made them better friends. They were becoming a real team, learning to trust and help each other with every silly step. Finally, Zorp stood tall, feeling coordinated for the first time. He took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. "I think we're ready," he said. The grand finale awaited, and this time they would face it together, full of hope, laughter, and a little bit of pink fluff. Zorp and Pip practiced all afternoon. Jelly jiggle, floppy flap, bananas, echoed through Fizzlepop Valley. With each repetition they got better. On the 4th try, Zorp only stumbled a little. On the 5th, he stayed standing, though wobbly. On the 6th, he remembered to shout before getting dizzy. Every mistake taught them something new. Pip and Zorp learned together, becoming a team. The giggling flowers laughed themselves sleepy. At last, Zorp brushed off the last of the candy floss and sprinkles. "Ready for what?" Pip chirped. "Ready for the grand finale," Zorp announced. They had practiced until it was perfect-ish. Now it was time to perform for everyone. Zorp and Pip stood in the middle of Fizzlepop Valley, a crowd gathered to watch. Zorp took a deep breath, feeling nervous, until Pip gave him a confident nod. "Prepare for the amazing, the stupendous, the very well-practiced Giggle Wiggle Dance," Zorp announced. "The jelly jiggle, perfect control, the floppy flap, silly but graceful, the silly spin and shout, 1, 2, 3, 4 spins." Zorp stopped, faced the crowd, and shouted, "Bananas!" The crowd erupted in cheers. Even the grumpy gnome smiled. Zorp and Pip bowed, feeling amazing. They'd fallen, gotten sticky and been covered in fluff, but they never gave up. They did it again and again, getting better each time. Zorp looked at his 3 feet, now dancing feet. The secret wasn't being perfect the first time. The secret was repetition. The secret was to keep trying and have fun along the way. And so, the Giggle Wiggle dance became a legend in Fizzlepop Valley.